Welcome to the PSAV Inspiration Cafe. Content. With all the talk about technology and channels of delivery, let's talk for a moment about content. And I'm lucky to bring to you today and proud to have with us Max Suzenaar, founder and CEO of Minding Your Business. Welcome, Max.
Bill, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
We have, and I don't want to overemphasize the point because technology does matter. I'm not suggesting you're anti-technology.
Not in the least.
But we do know for a fact that associations have a real pressing need to drive attendance up.
Absolutely.
And one way to do that is with content. So tell me a little bit about Minding Your Business.
Minding Your Business, we're a strategic agency. We're focused obviously on the meetings world. So we work with associations, we also work with corporations to maximize the benefit of what's happening. So we work with them from a strategic standpoint with their annual meetings to help really focus in on what the true objectives are, what their membership is looking for, and we try to create a blend of like how can we create an experience and create a marketing plan around that so that they're truly living their brand. Like it's what the association is about. So really serving it up, and what we're doing is we're finding that we're serving it in very different ways than we have in past years.
How so?
Well, right now what's happened is, obviously with the turn of the economy a few years ago, it created a big ding in meetings overall. On average, associations were down about 30% of their membership. The way associations work, and I think it's interesting because even though they're non-for-profit, they do need to make money. It's really a tax status thing. And the money that they make on an annual basis is then put in reserves. And so it's so they can do additional education, lobbying, et cetera, for whatever the true goal of the organization is. And what happened was the numbers were off, and an annual meeting can account for anywhere from 20 to 70% of an annual operating budget. So as a business model, it makes a huge deal. So you can imagine at 30% decline in your attendance, you're missing a lot of revenue. Now that it's been 3 years in a row, it's been about 30% off in general for associations, even though you're starting to see a little bit more of an incline. I think there was an expectation that it was just all economically driven. It isn't. There are now 4 generations of attendees going to meetings, whereas before things were kind of designed just for the baby boomer population. You obviously event technology and technology in general is so robust and it's just exploding from a personal standpoint that we've had to integrate. There are financial considerations, it's global. So now it's much more dynamic where it was very linear. So now associations are realizing, wow, our value proposition that we offered up before, and some of our clients were just hitting 50th anniversary. How we've been serving it up, how we've been doing it, it went to the baby boomer population and people were willing, that's not how we can do it anymore. So we have to be much more dynamic. We have to explore new things. We have to beta test. And so there's definitely a huge need that we're seeing with organizations. And so, for example, our company, we consulted with over 35 associations this past year, and it's looking at their big picture strategy, their marketing plan, and how they're serving up their meeting design, essentially.
Right. It's interesting you talk about the 4 generations because it's a microcosm of the real world. I mean, younger generations talk in headlines. I want it fast, and I want it quick, and I want 140 characters. I don't need. They move at a different speed, it seems.
And they're moving, and so it's kind of hard because I'm at the very tail end of the baby boomers, and we've learned a certain way. We went to school, everything was taught a certain way, and now that there's this whole dynamic of technology and how people communicate, and also where they really feel the value. Like the baby boomer generation is much more about loyalty and being connected and being embraced in. Belonging to something. Right. There still is that sense of wanting to belong to something bigger, but bigger is really bigger now that global. Through technology, it's global, and you can have incredible connections with people.
Are you finding associations, because a lot of the folks I think who watch this will be planners and with associations, not all, but are you find them comfortable talking about strategy, thinking in these kinds of terms you're talking about?
I think that it's definitely a hot topic. I think that there is some question on what does strategy really mean? And I think also, to be honest with you, I think it's a little bit challenging in that, meeting planners, it's a little bit like doctors and lawyers. They're both incredible professions, and to be a really good meeting planner, for example, a lot is driven by logistics, on negotiating contracts, things that are absolutely critical to meetings. But a little bit of the challenge is that world, that profession has been focused for a long time, and not everyone, but a huge portion of it is on the bottom line.
Right.
So as you look at a financial equation, there wasn't the same concern about how we needed to deliver content, how we were bringing revenues in, what could we be doing to enhance the value
Right.
proposition of the organization, and now they're asked to. So strategy is a hot button. I think it's being defined right now.
The days of we're an association, you're our members, you will come to the meeting are gone.
Oh, they're totally
You
gone.
have to earn attention, I guess.
You
is
have
what
to
you're
earn
saying.
attention.
Are we learning new things about what sticks with people in terms of how the brain works or how you deliver messaging? I mean,
Yes, that's also, and in fact, it's fascinating because all of a sudden, learning styles and behaviors, and especially as you're looking at these different generations, are very different. What the expectations are, how people want to participate. I'll give you a very, very simple example. In kind of a standard practice, you've got a general session, kind of bookending the beginning and the end. Maybe there's an awards thing. It was always very formulaic. And the expectation, let's say you've got a 3,000 person meeting, and here's where everyone sits, here's how you've got the stage set, this is what we're doing, a lot of talking heads, from the microphone, use your iMac, maybe get a third camera sort of thing, but it was very straightforward, and it would drive people nuts. They'd try to shuffle people in to sit down. Go sit down, and it really irritates people that they're on the back wall. That's how people want to participate in a meeting like that now. So it sounds like such a simple mindset, but even planners have to be like, that's okay. Start the show, those people are going to hang, they are going to be texting, they are going to be reading their emails because it's how they communicate, it's how they're taking in information.
they're used to that, that's what
They're used to that, and so you can't just be rigid and say, here's what you're going to do.
So, thinking of a planner today, and you've identified some issues. I mean, 4 generations of attendees, distractions, their ability to multitask, depending on your generation. The first thing to do is call Max, or they call Minding Your Business for help. But just if they want to self-help a little bit, 2 or 3 tips for how to make a meeting more sticky, or how to make
Sure. I think it's really crucial that people understand what is the baseline. Like, here's where our surveys landed, but asking the right questions so they know, and know their audiences. They should know their membership base in a different way. Like, know what the membership attrition is. Like, do we have the same membership? So I would make sure that they really understand the audience and what they're trying to accomplish. I think that they need to be daring and try new things. So instead of this linear, here's how we've always done it, I would recommend trying 3 to 5 new things with the mindset in terms of how you're delivering information. And that could be anything from creating a TED-like format to creating, like I was mentioning, AVMA Live, where you've got a little studio set up in your trade show area that creates a buzz. But try some things and see what's sticky, what's working with people and resonating. So of those 3 to 5 things, 1 or 2 may work and the others may not. That's the new mindset shift that you have to move forward with.
You just said something very pressing, I thought, because you said audience. And I think often an association will think of their members, or they'll think of an attendee, but when they start thinking about it in terms of an audience, like a theatrical play or like a TV show, you say, there's some barriers you have to move these people. They're not.
Yes. Well, I think that's very key, and I think it gives new insight into what production really is. And you need to offer up, start from scratch. This is what we want to convey. These are the types of people that can help bring this about, whether it's they're going to motivate, they're going to inspire, they're going to convey different types of information. And I think you need to slice and dice it differently. And the production quality, people are very savvy. They want authentic. They do not want canned. You get people up there, I think it's the worst thing in the world. I would, as a rule of thumb, get rid of talking heads. I don't care if your CEO demands it. Transition it. What you can do in that case, if the CEO just loves command or wants total control, because reading from a teleprompter, you lose people right away. Tap into the brain trust that the CEO has. So just like you're doing with me, have an interview where you've got questions where the same information that you want to convey is going to come out, but you're going to do it in a natural setting where you're asking me, and all of a sudden, I'm authentic, I'm a real person. The other thing is, there is this sense of feeling connected with an association or an organization. And if I'm a talking head and I'm a stuffed shirt and it doesn't fit the profile of my new 36-year-old member that we're trying to get and retain, you got a problem. There's something to be very real with that.
One last area, I know because you're dependent on a pool of talent because you have to deliver a product yourself.
Yes.
And are you finding access to writers and creative people who can think in this way?
Yes, and it's interesting, like our model as a business, we've essentially lived and our roots started in meeting planning and event production to go along with that, but we have migrated to really focus on the bigger picture, the strategy and the marketing. So whereas before everyone we had were experts within the meetings industry, we now have a chief creative officer, which came from the agency world, that understand how consumer products and how events played into the consumer market were. We have a VP of strategy that again came from the agency world, because we're talking about corporate communications and engagement. So all of a sudden someone who is doing a customer loyalty program for American Airlines, now you're seeing how those sorts of programs can really benefit. So how can you migrate something like that into your association so all of a sudden your members are rewarded, for example, just like a customer loyalty?
Your clients must be experiencing a whole new vocabulary, a whole new way to think about it.
They are. I mean, I remember when we first started talking about, we're going to help you find white space. And in the agency world, and I know you came from the agency world, white space is pretty easy to understand, but essentially it is, for those that may not understand it, is we're looking for opportunities. There's either markets that you're not familiar with, like target markets that you may never have thought about, or offerings that you have that compared to your competitors, no one is offering it up, but there's a need in the marketplace, and you can own that. And so it's using the terminology, and here's one thing it has done is, all of a sudden the conversation has been elevated and you're getting the C-level folks in the organization, because you're getting the person from marketing to work with the people that are planning, to work with the CFO, so it's very collaborative. So it's
working strategically brings a lot of interest.
Absolutely.